Hello, my name is Lily Mueller, and the topic I chose for my video presentation was worldwide plastic problem. I'm currently a environmental biology major at Bloomsburg University, and I chose this topic because plastic is a prevalent problem in our ecosystems today, globally, and it's affected by the global trade of our plastics. So the global use of plastic. Plastic has exponentially increased since the first oil-based plastics were made for mass consumer use in the 1950s. And it is found in both developing and developed countries. Products made from plastic travel around the world. Basically, like the base plastic used in one product may be made in one country will get shipped to another country to be made into an actual functional product, and then it will be shipped back to the country to be sold. And plastic is such a common material found in our everyday lives. It's found in plumbing in your home, and pipes, cups and bottles to drink from, the plastic shopping bags that you get at the grocery market, your clothes, which are often made of a blend of polyester, and technology such as the computer or phone you're watching this video on. The basic idealist life of plastic is it's produced, then used by a consumer, and then hopefully that bottle ends up in recycling, and then that recycled bottle gets made back into new plastic. But unfortunately, this is not always the case. Reality is very different. Plastic that is produced will sometimes get lost in transit, such as when it's globally shipped, a shipping container will come off the cargo ship and just release the plastic into the environment. An interesting case of this is when there were rubber ducks showing up on the coastline of Alaska, and people were trying to figure out where these came from. They eventually tracked it back to a shipping container that fell off a ship, and just the contents were released into the Pacific Ocean, and eventually that was just plastic rubber ducks showed up on the shore. And while that is minimal, if once the plastic gets to the user and is used, it doesn't always make it into a recycling bin or a garbage bin. A lot of times you'll see bottles just alongside the road, and eventually this will just wash down into our oceans. And there are many environmental concerns, such as the North Pacific garbage patch, which is estimated to outnumber the phytoplankton that live in the upper photic zone of our oceans. Wildlife has been known to eat and get caught in plastic, usually causing death, and human health. Depending on how the plastic is processed, noxious fumes can be released. There's also been a rising concern of microplastics, which are just very tiny broken down plastics that can become embedded in tissue. And just the breakdown of plastic too can release many different organic compounds that can affect human health. If we look at the US, America alone generates 34.5 metric tons of plastic waste each year. And the US used to ship all their recycling plastic to China, but China stopped accepting anything but the cleanest plastics from the US. So now the US ships to countries like Ecuador, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Turkey, just to name a few. And this has a very detrimental effect. As countries increase regulation, the U.S. sends its plastic further away to countries that will actually accept the plastic. And some countries do not have the infrastructure to handle plastic, much less waste from other countries. An example is Cambodia. If you look to the picture, there's actually an area in Cambodia where the water is just flooded with plastic garbage and such. Now, there are some countries, all developed, that have a better handle on this. Basically, Germany went from recycling 3% of plastics in 1991 to recycling 66% in 2017. Many companies are responsible for the packaging they use, and people are expected to sort their own plastic recycling. South Korea citizens must separate waste before recycling, and there is a charge fee on any per bag of trash you produce. Sweden actually incinerates most of its trash, so it won't enter the environment, and recycles 84.4% of its bottles and cans. And it has these reverse vending machines where you put the bottle into the machine and you actually get money back from it. And Norway aggressively recycles 97% of its bottles. Has a system where fees are charged for each bottle, but if the bottle is returned to a recycling center, a credit is given. So it encourages people to recycle more. What would be the best way to handle this? This is a very complex problem where there is more to it than just trying to keep plastic out of the environment. But if we follow the examples of Germany, South Korea, Sweden, and Norway, and were to put processing centers within the country instead of shipping plastics away, that would help too. Encourage more recycling, and just pass legislation to make recycling more prevalent. Those fixes would go a long way in this plastic problem. Here are my sources if you want to do any more reading on this. It's a very interesting and complex section. Thank you for listening.